Good evening. Good evening. How is everybody out there in Warzone land?
Well,
What's
it's just
going
me.
on?
It's just me and you.
Yeah, no. So, welcome to the Warzone tonight. Sorry about last week. We had to postpone a lot of moving parts. We had to postpone last week, but we're glad to be back for episode 10 with Mr. Davey Sapp. This is week 11, but it's episode 10. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate y'all being here. This is going to be another action-packed night that you don't want to miss. We've not even got a preview tonight, so we don't even know really which way it's going. I've just got a video queued up. That's all I know. So we'll go from here. Jamie, have you got any opening remarks? It's good to see you back on here.
Oh yeah, I'm excited, and I know that people have been asking like, where were we last week? And because I don't think we put out any notices, we just didn't show up.
Yeah, right.
So and then have people actually text me like tonight, like, is it not happening again? I'm like, yeah. We're just having some difficulties, but we're up, and it's good to be back. And there's a lot going on, around us, and a lot of moving parts, and the election is what, a week away.
We
Um,
tonight, yeah.
Yeah, I early voted. Did you?
We are tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, listen, dude, there's a lot at stake, and there's a lot of truth, but there's a lot of lies out there. And you have to decide what is truth and what is not the truth. But remember this, guys, people that are watching, that if you're not careful, I can put us all in this cookie jar together. If we're not careful and all we hear is something that's not true or an unbelief, and we listen to it for an extended amount of time, then that unbelief becomes a truth.
Right.
So, and then we're working off, what we would call deception, because you're being deceived. And again, people will look at us sometimes, Joshua, and say, "Well, you guys are deceived." Well, there's possibilities. There's things that we don't get right. And I think
Yeah.
Davey has been very clear. A lot of this is subjective. You have to look at it through your lens and decide if this is real truth to you. So I'm so thankful that he looks at it that way. And I'm excited. I have no idea, like you, what he is going to present tonight. So, here we go.
And I mean, I've said this, pretty much every week since this whole thing began. I've always been a skeptic on a lot of this stuff. Some of it I know is true. But the way that he's presented it, and because for a lot of you guys that know me, I was a police officer for almost 11 years, and so I learned how to operate on facts, and evidence, and which is really hard actually being a Christian, because you got to like walk, by faith and all that too. But as far as this stuff goes, I'm like, where are the facts? Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? And I would say that he's done a good job at presenting all that in
Yeah.
detail.
Mhm.
And not that he's trying to sell anybody on this, but he's completely sold me, and he's done a phenomenal job about presenting this, not just presenting it, but also articulating it too. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
but,
I agree 100%.
but without any further ado, let's bring Mr. Davey Sapp on. Mr. Davey Sapp, man, we talk big, so like you got to put on like a real good show tonight for us. So, oh no, is he frozen?
Is he frozen?
Oh
Nobody
man,
has a clue what we're laughing at. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to get them.
he got me all mad. So just a backstory. We was having a bunch of technical issues, like he said, and so I froze like this, and he's getting frustrated. He's like, "Man, what's going on?" He goes, "I think Josh is frozen," and then I wasn't. Well, he got me back. So
That's
all I
right.
can say is touche there, touche. So, well, man, we're gonna turn it over to you. We're excited to see what you're gonna do. I've got your video prepped. Did you want to start with that?
Yeah, we've got a video. I think it's good timing with the election a week away. I think it's a prophecy that folks need to hear. I believe this prophecy was given out last Monday. I was actually going to start last Tuesday's episode with it. So, but even closer to the election, the timing is even better. It's going to sound it may sound a little negative, but I want you to keep in mind that um, God has said that He is going to shelter His children, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to win on the other side of this. So if you've got that video queued up to 5:30, we'll go ahead and listen to that. When we're done, we can discuss it and jump right back into the slides.
Cool. Let's share it. All right. Can y'all see it?
Yep,
And you said the 5:30.
5:30. Oh, look at that. Perfect.
I'm talking about on the money, son. I'm gonna record that. You send it to my wife, and like you'd be like, "Hey, he's perfect." Yeah, that'll be good.
There will be a great death in this nation. Okay, there we go. There will be a great death in this nation. Again, I heard this on October 17th. For I, the Lord, this day am telling my children to prepare your hearts for the unknown. Prepare your hearts for this world to be shaken. Prepare to stand in ways you never thought you would have to. Prepare for a great final battle of the soul of this nation. There will be a great death you will see in this nation. It will be the death of the establishment, the death of their policies, the death of their one world order they tried to ensnare this nation into. There is coming a great death to their plans to take this nation fully under their control once and for all. There will be a death to their control over your elections, and there will be a death to their contracts with other nations to destroy you. There is a death of coming to a shadow government in D.C. There's coming a death to the payments to your governmental leaders they have received from other nations to help decimate your freedoms. There will be a death to the spying on the people of this nation through the three-letter agencies and social media companies. There will be a death to socialism and communism and all their isms they use to dominate and control the masses and obliterate the nations. There will be a death to many puppet masters' control over the people, trying to steal this nation yet again. The final battle for the soul of this nation will seem to be dark. It will seem to become hopeless. It will seem as if you are surrounded and trapped by the establishment and the global government and the army they had sent into your nation. My children, this is a time to be fully awake to my authority and to my words. This plan of attack from your enemies, some will not see coming, and some will not know how to handle what they are seeing taking place. Pray for those who remain asleep, and pray for those who are blinded to the truth. Arise, children of the Most High God. As the world seems to get darker, you crush it with the glory that is on the inside of you. I am the light, and that light will shine. Obey my words and my commands. As you do, you'll be protected by the Most High. My warnings will soon come to an end, as I have told you, because they will soon not be necessary, seeing the time is upon you of all the things I've warned you about. It's all coming to a place where good and evil will clash, but good will always overtake and destroy the evil it comes up against.
This push-to-drink bottle gives you more energy and better sleep. It also helps you fight disease and aging. Watch this video now before the bottled water.
The world your enemies wanted is colliding with the world I've created. And my children, your enemies, will always lose against me. So stand and have your hearts fixed on my words, because what you are about to see, you will need a firm foundation on my words in your soul to destroy the onslaught of attacks your enemies have coming your way. Stand your ground, because your enemies can't keep this nation. They can't keep you enslaved to them. You have already been bought with the price of my son's blood. Freedom is already yours, so take it now, says the Lord of hosts. A diamond mine will be in your news for a significant reason. A laptop will come to the surface your enemies thought was destroyed. My infiltrators have it, and my whistleblowers are about to sing. They're lying and waiting for the perfect timing with this election. My children, yes, your enemies are trying everything to steal 2024 election away from you. Do you truly believe whatever they have cooked up is bigger than me? It's not. Their elections are a joke. They're nothing to me. I don't need an election to put leaders in place of power they were called to be in. This is my nation. This is my land. The government that's been trying to control and take over this nation does not have any power over what is rightfully mine, says the Lord of hosts. Cape Cod will be in your news for a shocking reason. My children, great surprises are coming to this election. My infiltrators are lying and waiting where your enemies can't see, ready to take them out. Their hands will be caught in the cookie jar, you would say. Every seat and every position they try to steal, they'll be caught and punished. Get ready, my children. Your enemies are caught in traps they can't get out of. I am moving my hand, and I will deliver this land, says the Lord, your Redeemer. Now, something that he put on my heart, because I know we've heard a
Well, there you go. Josh, I think you're muted.
Yes, I am, or was. I'm not now. But. So, I'm just going to stop here for a second. I mean, there was a lot that was said. So, what do you think the Cape Cod thing's about? And I know that's like the smallest thing that she said, but that's what jumped out at me.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's an example of one of those odd, this word will be in your news type prophecies that you don't know until you see it. Like, well, in some cases, 6 months later, a year later. I don't know that it'll be that long. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, all I know is that prophecy there was in line with a lot of the other prophecies lately. And that's not the first time. Did you notice in that prophecy, the Lord said that his warnings would cease because the time that he has been warning us about is upon us. And that's not the first time he said that. It's been brace for impact, that type of prophecy. And he has said that one line before. I want to say it was earlier this year. Yeah, I don't know about the Cape Cod. Have no idea, to be honest with you.
Weird.
Yeah. I can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I think some of the things that, when I listen to prophecy, kind of opened up my spirit to kind of decipher what's being said. And I just heard the word scandal coming out like a scandal, like I don't know exactly what that entails, but you're talking about a grouping of people who are marked to control, manipulate, have power over. You have a society of people, as we've seen throughout these 10 podcasts that we've had, where these societies not only are real, they're currently operating. As I listened to Julie, it was sobering to think about, when she starts off, there's going to be a death. That's going to get our attention. She talked about the election, that there's going to be things like that are set to not entrap them, but they will be entrapped or snared by their own device. And I've listened to people like from True to Vote, and they've talked about over the years, the last couple of years, about they were doing some called is it GA mapping? Is that right? Or
geolocation or something like that?
Yeah, GM mapping, and how they can trace things now, and they got things in places to where, and she said you'll get your hands caught in the cookie jar, so to speak, that you're going to find out there's going to be a lot of fraudulent acts that will be caught. I saw today, Davey, I saw a video released of a discussion that was taken. I don't know if you guys saw it, from a poll worker that is just now being, or at least just now being released, that I've seen, that was just laying out the whole process of what they did. From like, there was election interference,
in Pennsylvania.
No, this was Pennsylvania and Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia. I saw the one on Georgia. Yeah.
And they set some, the ballot boxes on fire.
Yeah, but just not that. There's just so many things that are coming to light. And again, people that struggle with things like, well, we got secure elections. Well, if you talk to the right people, you realize, and we're just not talking about people like us, we're talking about people who are in the know, that there's never been really 100% secure elections. There's always fraud, and they'll tell you that there's always some level of fraud. But the level it went on in possibly 2020 is a whole different ballgame. And now this time, the traps have been set for them to be caught. And just hearing Julie say things like that, and it's pretty eye-opening. It's pretty sobering that even the Lord, Davey, has to go, and Joshua has to go to such extremes to secure our nation. One nation under God. So to see some things, I think, Davey, as I'm listening to Julie, I mean, she's putting her neck on the line. I'm like, it's like this. I mean, listen, some of this stuff she's saying, it can't happen in 2 years. We're talking about in 7 days. I mean, she's referring to some things that have to happen, quickly, because I don't think if the wrong person gets into the highest office in the land, you have to decide who that wrong person is for people that are listening. Typically, even when the information is brought at a later date, there'll be no overturning it. So it's like you live with the decisions, whether they were made appropriately or not appropriately, honestly or dishonestly. So that's why I'm thinking that when I listen to her in this from Monday, if she's spot on, it's moving quickly. This thing is moving quickly. If you don't get on the train, you're going to get left. So those are my thoughts. Just listening to her, I hadn't heard that one, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Well, sorry,
no,
Josh.
Yeah.
So the biggest fear that they have, the left, of Trump being back in office, and is the fact that he's going to prosecute a lot of people. And as she's sitting there saying what she's saying, I believe that as these people are ensnared and caught in their own vices, if you will, it's going to be a kickstart, and it's going to be like your hand in the cookie jar, if you will, to as physical evidence to go ahead and begin the prosecution proceedings. not just for what they've done now, but also all the things that they've done in the past that's still within the statute of limitations.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that, Josh. It was either yesterday or the day before. She mentioned something about uncovering the elections going back decades,
Yeah.
um, and unraveling that kind of stuff. And and talking to some of your points, Jamie, I think when I listen to that prophecy, and I try to combine it with all the other ones I've listened to, and God is not going to share in the glory of what He's going to do. And there's part of me that feels, and this is just a feeling, that He's warning us that it's going to look like we're not going to win, that we're surrounded. Matter of fact, she used those words, surrounded by the establishment. And if
Yeah.
you think back to the children of Israel at the time right before the Red Sea parted, they were done for. They were done for.
Yeah. And look, Davey,
And
sorry, you pause for a second. Sorry about that.
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Just going back to what you said real quick about, the exposing of the establishment, that's Republicans and, the Democrats. That's everybody that's
Yes,
in,
yes.
if
Yeah.
you would, you know what I mean?
Listen, people. I mean, listen. Sorry, not people. Anybody listening? Listen.
Listen, people, come on.
I mean, listen. There's going to always be exposure of the enemy. And Davey and Joshua and myself, it's just not in the secular realm. It's in the religious realm. I mean, people will come tumbling down. I mean, because people have a hard time separating. Well, we're talking about the election. We're talking about the kingdom. In
We're
the
talking about
kingdom,
judgment.
we're talking about God. Absolutely. I mean, people. That's a scary word for people, and most. Well, I'd say most pastors don't really talk about being judged. It's not a popular subject that gets people in your doors and paying tithe.
That word right there is used loosely. Don't judge me.
Yeah, I heard it today. I was talking to somebody, they said, "Don't judge me," but and I'm like, I'm not, but I know one who will. But
It's very
yeah, but the thing about it is, there's a lot of exposure, just not coming out and through the political realm, but through the religious realm, Davey. There going to be an exposures of pastors. It listen, the Lord's been speaking very clearly to me about this. It's like, make sure even you're on the up and up, I mean, that you're not operating in some of these devices, and one like through the church would be manipulation. It's a huge one. If we, it's a huge, it's a huge tool that people can use to manipulate and move people around. I was listening to someone just the other day, and they were like, it's amazing how people will listen to pastors and respond appropriately. I mean, really, I was talking to someone of great importance this past week, and they were making a reference to, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, of how pastors were moving people to not to make decisions on their own, but make a decision based on on his or her recommendations. And we have to be careful, guys, as leaders, as pastors, as people who are discipling people, or people, that we're not here to manipulate people. We're to speak truth. But even in that truth, you have to decide what you do with that truth. So, those are my takes on what's being said tonight when it comes to exposure. It's going to happen in every field, in every area of life. So all I can tell people to do is get ready.
Yeah. And the other prophecy that I'll remind you about, and I don't know if you listened to this one or I just mentioned it, is that God said, watch the time during the lame duck president. Okay, so that's after the election. And as a matter of fact, I think it was on the last episode that we did, not obviously not last week, but the one that the prior week. So that's after the election, before the inauguration. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but I did early vote today. I went ahead and knocked that out, and because you know what's going to happen. But you know, the other thing too is, if you've been watching Trump's posts, he on True Social. I don't know if y'all follow Trump on True Social. He's posted that if you cheat in this election, you will be caught and there will be long-term prison sentences. I mean, he's come out that directly in post. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, that's awful big for someone to say who got voted out the last time. Did he ever leave power? Okay, and we talked about some of those executive orders. We talked about presidential emergency action documents. We talked about him activating the National Guard. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and jump into some of the slides. We'll go through those, and y'all just stop me at any point, and we'll talk about them. But first one I'm gonna start out with, it's gonna be a little hard to swallow, so hang in there. Here we go. All right. Hopefully the audio will be a little bit better tonight. I'm not going to go in presentation mode, so we'll just try it. So December 4th, 2022, the Biden's unmasking is about to begin. So enjoy the show, my children. All who have been wearing masks will be seen wearing them no more. A great closure is about to be celebrated, saith the Lord your Redeemer. And this was in 2022. And there's been multiple prophecies about exposures of masks. As a matter of fact, there's been one in the last week about a person in the White House wearing a mask is going to be exposed for all to see. But I want you to watch this video on Biden here. And look at the back of his neck. Watch the back of his neck. Don't worry about the audio. Watch the back of his neck.
Oh my God, that's a mask. Holy cow.
You see that? Let me play it again. Look at that. Watch.
Oh my God, that's a mask.
Nobody's skin wrinkles and stays like that.
Well, the key to success.
Okay. Now,
Oh no.
on this particular, as the Lord says in prophecy, the Biden. Look at the
Real quick,
neckline right
say
there.
that again.
What?
The one with the mask.
Nobody's skin stays like that long.
Wow.
And look at the neckline right here. Okay. That looks odd. Now, one other thing I'd like to point you to is John Fetterman. This was his Senate photo, I think, when he was first elected. You know, he got sick and he went into the hospital for a while. And these are the different photos. Now, you tell me that's the same guy. Even the secular news is picking up on it. That is not the same person. Now, here's an old picture of Biden. This is his signature. Look at the quote unquote new Biden and look at the signature. Here's some more photos down here at the bottom. Biden, the new Biden. If you look at the earlobes, I don't know if you can see that. Let me try to just see if I can bring that up quick. Attached earlobe, detached earlobe. And keep in mind, prophecy has said Biden has already been judged. Okay. Here's Angela Merkel. Look at the earlobe. Okay.
It was also
Okay.
came out.
I
of Joe
saw
Biden.
this when it first come out. Okay. And it was unbelievable. But check his chin out. Watch this.
Had some questions about what's going on with his chin. As he was talking, it was also like indenting really weird as he's talking. It's not what a normal chin would do. Look at this.
How many shows do we have?
Look at the chin on Joe Biden in all three of these pictures. And then what the hell is going on? How can your chin do that?
You may have missed a couple Botox shots, Sarah.
Botox doesn't do that.
At the minimum, I'd say this. The man does not look healthy.
No,
Whether that is the real...
Okay. So there you go. You make of it what you want, but I can tell you prophecy backs up what you're seeing here on the screen. So we'll go on to the next slide. March 13th, 2023, more banks will fail, more businesses will fail, more exposures are coming, more powerful people will fall. More proof will pour out to free this nation. April 30th, 2023, Spectre of first global credit crunch since global financial crisis emerges as another U.S. bank faces collapse. Then you have First Republic Bank seized in May of 2023. PacWest stock plunges as U.S. regional banks woes worsen. And you've got the Douche Bank shares slide 8% after sudden spike in cost of insuring against its default. And then you've got over here 5 major banks rated over 100 billion fraud in France. The banks that were rated: HSBC. You can see some of the others here. And there's another PacWest newsworthy item there. Western Alliance Bank Corp down 35% after hours. All right, July the 2nd, 2022. Major moves are being made on the side of the evil ones, but on my side, there are more moves and more maneuvers. They are annihilating any plans your enemies had for taking this world over once and for all. Unusual winds will occur in many locations, unusual sounds, unusual skies, unusual weather. And keep in mind the cloud formations that we saw in the previous session. Unusual earthquakes, unusual flooding, unusual news reports. Look at this last one. Unusual insect swarms. Check that out. That's in New York. All right. So you can see them raking them off the windows there. Millions of Mormon crickets invade Nevada town. Blood red crickets invade Nevada town. Let me click off of that. Residents fight back with brooms, leaf blowers, and snow plows. Okay, that was June 20th, 2023. Prophecy was July the 2nd, 2022. August 18th, 2022. And here's one of those weird ones. I don't even know how to pronounce this, but it says Andromeda. Andromeda. This word will be in the news. What's that? And oh, I was corrected. Andromeda. No, it's Andromeda. And okay, we'll go with yours. And Andromeda. Okay, this is where we've been in this. Nord Stream sabotage probe turns to, yeah, that word again, yacht clues. But how does one prophesy that August of 2022 and it occur in the news? I mean, that's such an odd word. Contents of a business that was used against you will be revealed. This company is a very well-known company. Anheuser-Busch. No, Lord, that can't be so. Yes, my children, there are many companies and many people working against you for money and power, families that have been against you, so many elites. You know, certain names like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Koch family, yes, but more will be revealed before the world, telling what they have done against you in the United States to destroy you from within. They so love to create destruction. With this destruction will be a major sign in the Rockefeller Center. Make sure you watch for this. This is for you to know that I am in control and not them. So Anheuser-Busch is another prophecy. This is September. This name and company will be in your news. Explosive exposures are coming. Major corporations that have hidden many things in plain sight. So again, talking about the corporations working against us. November 18th, Anheuser-Busch. I say things are not how they appear to be. And here's a news article. Bud Light VP of Marketing, Alyssa Hernished, has taken leave of absence amid the backlash from the Dylan Mulvaney controversy. And everybody knows that. And that's when they hired Dylan Mulvaney, who's a transgender, and that's Dylan there, to be the I guess you would call it the face person of Bud Light, and that backfired big time. And I want you to look at this. Hey guys, I think I found the problem. The CEO of Budweiser is a CIA operative. Okay. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit for that. Let's see. Okay, you see that? There's the CEO, right? Anheuser-Busch, and he lists operations officer, counterterrorism center, clandestine service in the CIA for 5 years, 2001 to 2006. I think we will all be surprised about how many CIA operatives there are, not only in corporate America, but especially in the news media. Chaos is about to erupt in many nations. February 7th, 2023. Watches. Chaos erupts in France. Great exposures and eruptions of truth. Their president will lose his seat. Yes, Macron will be removed from power, and he will definitely not be the last, saith the Lord. Now, that hasn't happened yet, but look at this chaos in France. Folks shooting guns. I don't know if you can see that. The video is not, may not be streaming very well. You can see this headline here. France in the grip of anarchy, city transformed into war zones amidst chaos. 40,000 officers deployed to quell nationwide riots following police shooting of teen during traffic stop. That was June 30th, 2023. So February 7th, 2023, the Lord said, watch as chaos is about to erupt in France. I'm still waiting for Macron to lose his seat. That has not happened to my knowledge. All right. February 27th, 2023, there will be more gaffes, more slip ups of the tongue, and more truth when they meant to lie. It's all coming to a very explosive place. Your enemies will not be able to keep their plans going, and their narrative will be completely destroyed by me, saith the Lord. Now, I want to take you back to a slide that we, and a prophecy where it said that a slip up saying that Obama was president, or Obama would be called president, and they would laugh it off as a joke. You remember that one?
Sorry. Yes.
That was a slip of the tongue there, and that was prophesied in very specific. So let's watch these videos here, see what we got.
A few things. So I will say, with respect to your first question, we believe the war has been a strategic failure for Ukraine. The secretary spoke to this in a speech he gave in Helsinki last month, I believe it was. What's that? So, I'm sorry. Excuse me. A strategic failure for Ukraine. Thank you for the correction. Which is I need more than one correction today. A strategic. This is the first time at the podium for a week. I'm apparently a little rusty. A few things. So I will say, with respect to your first question, we believe the war has been a strategic failure for Ukraine.
So a slip of the tongue there. Let's listen to this one.
To what extent has Vladimir Putin been weakened by recent events? It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world. And it's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations.
Harris gaffes continue as VP calls to reduce population for cleaner air and drinking water. Okay, Vice President Kamala Harris gaffe field week. Got a little bit worse Friday when she appeared to mistakenly call for lowering population in order to provide cleaner air and drinking water. Now, remember the Georgia Guidestones, population under 500 million. All of this stuff, folks, is tied together. These people are connected. They're evil. The Green New Deal, I suspect, was part of an effort to pass more legislation against climate change, the lie there that's going on. And all of that is, see, you can't prove climate change, or you can't disprove climate change. Well, you can't prove it either, but and you can't disprove it. So if they can keep it sort of like a smoke screen, then they say, well, we've got to do this to limit travel in order to stop the erosion of the ozone layer, or stop the erosion of the environment, that we're destroying the environment. Well, what they're actually doing is not trying to save the environment. They're slowly choking the citizens of the world and holding them captive. And they do it very, very, very slow. March 23rd, 2022, a major sinkhole will be in your news. Watch and pay attention to where the sinkhole is located. News reports will come out of this area, and a sex trafficking ring will be exposed and destroyed. Massive sinkhole opens up inside New York, or Yorktown, New York Park. That was December 27th, 2022. And then look at here. Potential human trafficking. Yorktown business busted for unauthorized practice. Okay. So you see there that news article, and talking about a potential human trafficking business. And then you see the actual sinkhole. And this is an interesting one here, September 21st, 2022. Polar vortex. This word will also be in your news. And you see this Fox News report, December 27th, 2022. Our administration is working to ensure airlines are held accountable. Joe Biden targets airlines after polar vortex causes flight cancellations. Okay, there it is. It's going to be in your news. There it is. Okay. Or as Kamala says, okay, okay. Liability, this word would be used to describe the Biden. His fall is coming big time in a big way, saith the Lord. June 4th, 2022. July the 10th, 2023. Victor Davis Hanson, Democrats and the media are starting to see the Bidens as a liability. So the Biden fall, remember, was prophesied. Watch the Biden fall. That was prophesied 2 years in advance. And then you see another prophecy given out here, and that's actually the buildup to them releasing Biden. Remember unusual weather, okay, and unusual earthquakes in a couple of slides before this one. Here's one, March 25th, 2022. Alaska will be in your news. An unusually large earthquake. Yes, only minimal damage, but enough to shake the earth to get the world's, attention. To my children who are there, do not be afraid. It will not destroy you. It will shake your ground and wake up those still asleep. Okay. Tsunamis warnings issued after 7.4 quake in Alaska. February 28th, 22, a sign to show you, a sign you should look for, my children, is snow in Africa. Yes, a mighty cleansing of your governments and top officials is taking place to free your lands. Look at this. It's just amazing. Johannesburg's residents experience rare snowfall. Okay, that was July 2023. All right, that was prophesied in 2022. A well-known vineyard is about to be in the news, and what is about to take place will surprise many. Okay, passenger crash lands a plane after pilot passes out behind the controls in Martha's Vineyard. Okay, 2022, 2023. I'm going to go to this slide here. Let me check this slide and see here. September 28th, 2022. Joe and Hunter Biden's offshore accounts will be found. Blood money will be exposed, as well as other names that have accounts in this supposed secure offshore bank. Many government officials had money hidden there, but I am opening the bank vaults. Everything is about to be revealed that has been hidden in their bank accounts, saith the Lord of hosts.
And then, ultimately, with Joe, I suspect there are offshore accounts. And we kind of learned that today. One of the last questions.
So what's the evidence of offshore accounts that you learned today?
There are, the IRS whistleblowers confirmed when I asked if they had documents pertaining to foreign accounts, and they said they did.
Wow.
But they couldn't turn them over to us. They have to go through that process and turn it over to the Ways and Means Committee. And I requested they do that, and they said they would.
There you go. That was July 27th, 2023. That's a date that I had to look up and check that out. Malcolm, this name will be in your news for a surprising reason. That was December 28th, 2022. Malcolm X, assassination witness, claims he was never interviewed by the cops and heard police ask if the gunman was with us after they saw supporters beating him. Okay. So that's interesting there. That was July 27th, 2023. Josh and Jamie, it's about, we're getting close, about 7:15. That's probably a good place to stop for tonight.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So, I'm going to go back and just make a reference to a few things. You guys can chime in too. So a lot of what we're hearing, a lot that we've heard, this is number 10, Joshua?
Yep.
That we've heard over the last 10 to 11 weeks. A lot of it is, again, we're seeing a lot of things show up in the news cycle. We're seeing people show up in the news cycle. There's things that are still going to show up in the news cycle, not just from Julie, but from Hank Kuhneman, from you know, trying to think some of the other ones out there.
Barry Wunsch.
Bullet.
Yeah, and then you got Dutch is saying a few things. God, I just lost his name. Anyway, there's several prophetic words or prophetic people out there speaking, you know, what's happening. But a lot of this, Davey, is, or not a lot of it, but some of it is pending on who's in the White House. Would you guys agree? I mean, it's seeming, you know, you would think with some of the words, with all this exposure, I mean, the reason for exposure is so that the sin or whatever can be dealt with. So when I hear these prophetic words and I hear the visions and the dreams people are having, it leads me to think that, you know, no matter what your political belief is, that it seems like Trump is going to need to be in the office of president. I guess my question is, you know, since Davey has all the answers, that, you know, if he does not wind up in the office of president, and we have Kamala in the office, what does it look like? You know, I mean, I've got my thoughts, and I've had my, and you know, I don't hear kind of like Julie Green hears, but I dream. I mean, I dreamt last night about Trump. So, you know, I dream where she hears, and a lot that I'm dreaming, guys, is if it, and again, this is not about being red or blue or Republican or Democrat. It's about what the Lord is saying in the earth, that if it goes one way, things will happen a certain way. If it goes another way, other things will happen. So, but it seems to me, as I'm hearing a lot of stuff that's being presented, you know, through this channel, through the content that Davey has accumulated, that with this exposure, people are coming down, and almost like righteousness is about to take its seat.
Yeah.
You know, and if that's true, and I'm not saying, you know, Trump is perfect, but, you know, I listened to him today. He was in Atlanta today, I believe. And he was at a gathering of Christian believers. And they asked him, they said, well, did you go to church? Now, again, I'm not here to say that church saves anybody. And he goes, absolutely. He goes, I was raised as, I think he says, an Episcopalian or a Presbyterian. It's one of the two. But he goes, I remember my parents taking me by the hand, and we would at times walk to church, and we would go to church. And he goes, I was raised, not that he's, you know, lived the perfect standard of what we would think a perfect standard of a believer would be, but the reality of it, he has a belief system. He believes in God. He believes in America. You know, I listened to Melania today on Friends and Family, and they're like, why is Trump running again? He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the position. And she said this, because he loves people and he loves America. And he wants America to have her rightful place in the earth. And I'm like, man. So, I mean, those are some of my thinkings and my thoughts, Davey and Joshua, that, you know, I have my rathers. You know, I voted for the person I felt like I needed to vote for. You know, so has Davey, and I think Joshua is soon to follow suit. So, am I hearing this correctly, Davey?
Yeah. You know, folks watch, you know, podcasts like this to try to get some insight, you know, and it could go several different ways. I mean, if you think about, all right, so if they're gonna get caught with their hands in the cookie jar, if you back that up, that means, okay, well, they have to cheat. Okay. Well, if you back that up, if they cheat, does that mean they're going to look like they're winning initially? And then something happened during the lame duck presidency, because Biden will be a lame duck president, right? I don't know how else to look at that. Maybe that's not true, but will something happen between election day and the inauguration? I believe. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It could go that way. And then the reason here's why I hesitate is because God has said so many times in these prophecies that he is that no man is going to get the credit for what he's about to do, and that this deliverance is going to be greater than that of a parting in the Red Sea.
Right.
And they were done for.
Yeah.
They thought they knew exactly what was going to happen. Pharaoh was coming and he was going to wipe them out. That's all they could see.
Yeah.
And so I'm very hesitant to try to predict. I think unless there's a major, cheating effort that happens, I think Trump's going to get in. I think probably what will happen is, if you remember, his sentencing in the civil trial was postponed until November, I think, 15th.
Yep.
And they're going to try to stop him between election day and inauguration.
Well, I do want to post something real quick, just kind of throw it up there. If there's something that I saw, I'll say y'all bear with me. And when I saw it, and I just saw it like a few days ago, and it was the first time I've ever seen it. And y'all may have already seen it, I don't know, but I am going to throw it up here, and y'all let me know what you think about it. But it's like everybody wants to know, how do we stop the cheating? How do we stop this? How do we stop that? Blah, 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 blah. And when I saw this, I was like, that right there is how like you do it. And like, he did it 2 nights ago when he made history at, the garden of
Madison Square.
Garden.
Yeah. And like, there's no president ever done that. And there has never been any red presidents ever do that. Even whenever Reagan won all 50 states, to draw a crowd in such a blue area like that. And I mean, yes, I actually get it. It's his hometown and all that stuff, but he's so hated up there too, And I was like, Lord, how do we stop the election fraud? How do we do this? And then I saw this. It just, I mean, like, it's my feed too big to rig. And I thought that was,
And think about what you saw in that Madison Square Gardens. You saw Tulsi Gabbard walk across that stage. That was prophesied that she was going to turn.
And flip.
Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Davey, since you're a theologian.
Okay.
Has nothing. This is not a biblical question, but yeah. So isn't it interesting though? Because there's people who watch this who don't believe like you, don't believe like me, don't believe like Joshua. Thank God, don't. But and there's people that are they're kind of turned off by podcasts like this because they don't want to believe any of this. And again, it's all subjective. Some of it is. I mean, some of it's the truth is coming out in a lot of this. But isn't it interesting, Davey? And again, if I'm wrong, you can correct me. That in all the prophecies of prophets, whether it comes from local prophets, national prophets, from Chuck or Dutch or Cindy or Hank or Julie, or you just go down the gamut of those who are saying stuff. Isn't it interesting that no one will come out or hasn't heard who actually will be in the White House come January?
Yeah, there really hasn't been a clear,
Yeah.
black and white, flip the switch. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody said, here's who's going to win,
Yeah. I mean, is it, I mean, I'm asking, is it they don't know? Are they afraid to say? Are they afraid to be wrong? Because
go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just asking the question as, because I deal in prophetic words, and sometimes I see very clearly, I hear very clearly. And sometimes I'm having to piece things together. And, even in the New Testament, when Jesus was speaking, when he was teaching in parables, he was piecing things together. And for some of that, we had to figure it out, so anyway.
Well, one thing that we have to keep in mind, and this is, everybody knows this, God's ways are higher than our ways. Okay. But check this out, bring it down to earth, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that it's only believers listening to the prophets?
No.
It's the enemy. It's the Satanists. They know the truth. They know what's happening. So if your enemy, now God already knows this, is listening to the prophets. And there are examples in the Bible where, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, Jamie, where one of the spirits was going to be a lying spirit to deceive, right?
Yeah.
So that's the other way to look at a lot of these prophecies of why they may be vague, and some of the seemingly insignificant ones are very precise. But the big one is kind of like you still don't know which way to go, right? Because the enemy's listening.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually discussing this with Jamie before we got on, the monitoring spirits. And what you got to understand is that Satan can't operate. I mean, he can't make a move based off of fresh revelation. He just can't get it. So he makes a move based off information. And
well, remember, God knows when. I know where we can go next week, but oh my goodness, because I'm not gonna go there. But I'll just say this: there's scripture that tells you what the enemy can do, and he can do more than you think. And even God called him out. It's in Ezekiel. Even God called him out for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what he was doing, Davey, he was getting fresh revelation. He was watching what God was doing, and then he was doing something with that information. So, and God, it's called trafficking, and God, and those scriptures actually use that word. He called him out on trafficking. So he was taking what God was doing, and he was trafficking the information, and doing something with it in the earth. And we can talk about that a little bit next week, but it's interesting of what the enemy can do. And that's why even New Testament teaching says power of life and death are what? It's right here. So when you begin to speak things, you're throwing things into a perpetual cycle that never ends. And you can operate. This is all biblical teaching, but either the first, second, or third heaven. Second heaven is that Ephesians heaven, where there's a lot of information. And what he does when we do things, he hijacks. So that's why praying, God, this is whole biblical. That's why we pray in the spirit, just don't pray in our native tongues, because if not, and all of a sudden we send things in those heavens, and those things are trafficked by the enemy. He hijacks that information and uses it against us. Be careful, kind of like a hot mic. You know what I'm saying? Did you see where Kamala got caught in the bar?
Oh, yeah.
With the hot mic? It's the same thing in the spirit. It's a whole thing. There's a hot mic that's capturing what we're saying. So guess what? The enemy's watching this tonight. He's got a hot mic on it. So
would you say that would be him capturing information, not really fresh, supernatural, Holy Spirit, or revelation?
Well, again, remember, I'll bring it up next week. I'll get the scripture out and Ezekiel, where Yeah, he traffics real time information.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
and yeah. So, and there's another one in the book of Jude, I think it is. It talks about it. So there's some things we can throw in there biblically next week. As we're doing a countdown, as we're watching, I guess maybe next week we can throw a little live feed in there a little bit from the
We
news
gotta
channel.
find a good, like a good source to do it from.
Yeah, yeah. Bill Hemmer's the best at it, by the way. That's just my personal opinion. But
So I wanted to get y'all's opinions on the mask thing. Isn't that like, it's like, oh my goodness.
dude, that's like Mission
You
Impossible
know,
stuff.
I'm telling you, and if you listen to Trump when he at his rallies, listen to how many times he talked about central casting. You know what central casting is? Look up central casting.
Trump says that?
Yeah. Yes. He has mentioned central casting several times in his rallies.
No. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Can you bring that up next time?
Well, there you go, put me on the spot. I will try to find. Okay, let me make a note of that. Hey, Jen, let's make a note to try to bring up central casting. Now, I'll try to find a clip, see if I can't find it, of him mentioning central casting.
Yeah. So before we go, I want Joshua to prophesy who's going to be in the office of president.
Trump. Mario,
Davey, it's all done. We don't have to do anything else. It's done.
Hey,
Mario Cristobal and Kirby Smart to be vice president.
Oh goodness. Well, man, it's been good tonight. Thank you, Davey. Man, I tell you what, this week's going to be. I think we're going to see some things highlighted this week. It's going to blow our minds. So, and I think we'll have a lot to discuss next Tuesday on Election Day, and we might end up running a little over next. So, Davey might need to prepare to stay up late.
Well, I did. I'm taking some vacation days next week, so you probably, I know your heart's be a little sore, but you won't get the text at 4:30. It'll be okay.
I'll be Davey stated.
Davey stated. That's funny.
I'll be Davey stated. All right, gents. I got to hop off of here. It was a good night. I appreciate it. That was some really good stuff. But I look forward to next week.
All right, guys.
All right, y'all.
Take care.
See you later.